Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. There's Troy laughing with his gin and a grin, telling stories about where he's been. Boomer's got whiskey, he's loosening his tie, chasing dreams under a midday sky. The bartender knows us, he's mixing with flair. Every sip's a moment we're happy to share. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for a day. The clock don't matter, we're lost in the vibe. Jazz in the air, feel the soul come alive. From martinis to bourbon, we're riding the wave. Stealing this hour, it's the freedom we crave. The sun's still shining, but we're in our zone. This bar's our shelter, our temporary home. One more round before the world calls us back. Savor the moment, keep the blues in the rack. We'll laugh and we'll toast till the afternoon fades. Memories made in these liquid escapades. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worry slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun. Our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. Chasing that jazz under the high noon.
Salute and welcome. Oh, I've missed you guys. I really have. Yeah, yesterday I saw that the stream went up. It played as it was supposed to, pre-recorded. My camera is still not quite right. Let's get that. That's a little bit better. Yeah, I was kind of going through withdrawal. I kind of missed you guys. So hope you guys missed me too. But keep going to the range, your aim will improve. Speaking of someone with great aim, there's Netter of Netter's Network saying, hello, love of my life. Hello, my love of my life. She says, like, share, subscribe, and become a member. Yes, please do all those things. Speaking of members, Connie Cleary, the Birdwoman of YouTube. Hail, Connie. Check out the interview that she did with Deleted Scenes on Sunday, and by all means check out the interview that he is going to do with Netter on Thursday. More about that in the upcoming promos. Big Al says, have a great show, my friend. Hope everything went well yesterday. I cannot say that it did. It did not go well. Without getting too far into it, those that have been following me for a while know that I apparently broke my foot. I don't even know how I broke my foot. One could make the joke that perhaps something happened while I was under the influence, but if that was the case, then Netter would have caught me doing something that would have resulted in a broken foot. So we have no idea how I broke my foot. And I was supposed to go in for an MRI yesterday, only to find out that the location that they had booked me for does not take my insurance, so I could not get my MRI. Further, another appointment that was less time critical, but nonetheless that I actually went to on my broken foot, It was just a maintenance thing, again, for insurance reasons. I get there only to find out they'd canceled my appointment without telling me. Although they claimed that they had called, that they had emailed, and that they had sent a physical letter, none of which I received at all. So it was a completely wasted day. And that does not make me happy. I took time out of Sunday to pre-record a show, only to have it play and not be able to interact with all of you, which is why I do this, only for it to all be a wasted effort. So, yeah, it did not go as well as it should have. Hail all and smash the like button and enjoy the show. Thank you so much, Jonathan Conroy. Mark Malikoff says, Mech po! Bartender, blood wine da! And make sure it's warm. Well, salute to you, my friend. Kapla. Good afternoon, he says. Yes, I believe it will be a good afternoon because I get the opportunity to hang out with all of you. Yo, what's going on? At work on my lunch break. That is exactly the idea. See if I can't, you can't squeeze me in the middle of your work day. That is exactly the plan. Mark Malnikoff says, somewhere in space there's a Romulan limping around with the imprint of Troy's foot on his backside. That must have been a great barroom brawl. I hope you took one of his ears as a trophy. There might be one around here somewhere. You might have an excellent point. Went to the theater last night and saw Superman. Good movie. My favorite character was Crypto. If you like the Warner Brothers Superman animated series, it's just like that, but with a lot more swearing. I did a whole stream on that yesterday and talked a little bit about it on Friday, and I had another stream about it yesterday. But yes, I gave my not live reaction, my pre-recorded reaction to it yesterday. I did say there were some good things that I liked about it. There were some things I did not care for. Yeah. You understand where I'm coming from with the whole health and managed care situation. Yep, it happens. So yeah, I am, however, glad that you enjoyed Superman. I know that about half the people that have seen it very much enjoyed it. Some people were lukewarm on it, and some people absolutely hated it. I was lukewarm on it. Let's put it that way. I didn't hate it, but I have some real issues with it, and all I can hope is that Warner Brothers takes the criticisms they get seriously and doesn't just ignore them, because it could lead to some really good stuff down the road if they listen. If they don't listen, I see it going downhill from here, actually. I'm not real into the IMAX 3D. It does nothing for me. I've done that on a number of movies, and if the substance of the movie isn't enough for me, those special effects aren't going to make it any better. That's just like adding more frosting to a mediocre cake, in my opinion. And welcome, Matanui. It's so good to see you. Glad you could make it. You saw Superman yesterday. It was fun. Good. I'm glad you liked it. Yes, I would not argue that it was not fun. It was fun. It absolutely was. But yeah. So that's why I have swapped out my backdrop. Last Son of Krypton and Clark Kent. Tonight, of course, is live from Sparkwood and 21. So I have the book Always Music in the Air, and I don't see Age of Boomer, but he might be interested in who is on the cover, because he's an apologist. Matt at Matanui posted his review in the Discord, so you might want to get over to the Last Call Discord, which, tell me if that is linked in the description below. It may or may not be. If it's not and you are interested, reach out to me and I will get you a link to the Discord. And probably have to pay attention to that going forward so that I can get you all over to the Discord. There is chitter chatter that we do over there in between streams. Yeah, I was just reading. In fact, whoops. Did I bring it up? Yes, I brought it up. As long as you're mentioning it, it's not down there? Okay. I will have to rectify that in the future going forward. Let me real quick go to... I saw this article. It wasn't something I was really planning on bringing up. But now I'm gonna, since you broached the subject. And this is Tuesday, where you guys pretty much are in charge of what we talk about here. So let me go ahead and bring up this article.
You are watching Liquid Lunch.
Liquid Lunch, but we're not doing that right now. Let's try this. Let me first remove this. Why is this here and why? Nope. That's what I want to get rid of. There we go. And let me bring this up. I want to share my screen. There we go. There we go. Get that in there. So, James Gunn Instagram follow sparks Wonder Woman casting rumors, but he says it's not what fans think. Yeah, I think people have a tendency to read way too much into things, and this was an example of, and I don't want to get too much into this particular part of the article. I don't think that's what we wanted to talk about, but there's this gal, and I had no idea who she was. What is her name? Adria Arjona? Is that how you pronounce it? Apparently he followed her on Instagram. She is apparently an actress who was in Andor. I didn't watch Andor, so I didn't know who this girl was. I had to look her up. She's pretty enough. She definitely looks like someone who could play Wonder Woman. But what he actually said is, I follow Adria on Instagram, but everybody came out and thought, he just followed her. That means she's Wonder Woman. Gunn remarked, adding, she'd be a great Wonder Woman, by the way, but she was in a movie that I made 7 years ago. We've been friends and have known each other since that time. I followed her then. I didn't just follow her. People just notice these things all the time. There's a picture of her. Yeah, she'd make a great Wonder Woman. Blue contacts, but I suspect they would absolutely do that because I did notice contact lenses on the bloke playing Lex Luthor. And did Corn Sweat have contact lenses too? I don't know, but he's at least paying attention to the eye color. Apparently you can change skin color all you want, but he's going to be faithful to the eye color, I guess. Gunn was referring to the Belko experiment. Oh, I did see that movie. I didn't realize she had been in it. Yeah, the Belko experiment. Definitely check that out. 2016. Good movie. That is a good movie. I had no idea that was a James Gunn film. No idea. Their professional connection dates back nearly a decade. You make a great Wonder Woman. Okay, but that's not what's actually happening. What's actually happening with Wonder Woman? Everybody's reading tea leaves when it comes to this stuff. I don't think any of this stuff is set in stone. But let's read. The future of Wonder Woman in the DC Universe is still very much in development. In an earlier Entertainment Weekly exclusive published on June 10th, 2025, James Gunn confirmed that a new Wonder Woman film is in active development and currently being written. Wonder Woman's a separate thing from the HBO Max prequel series Paradise Lost, which he described as slow-moving but is moving. We're working on Wonder Woman, Gunn said. Wonder Woman being written right now. That lines up with the comments from Warner Brothers, Discovery CEO David Zaslav, who called Superman, Batman, Supergirl, and Wonder Woman crucial characters to the new franchise strategy. Gunn agreed with that sentiment, saying that 2 of those characters are locked in, and we're dealing with the other 2. So, presumably, he means Superman and Supergirl, because, as we know, last weekend, Superman was released, and Supergirl has a cameo at the end, her soft introduction, and I believe her film is already in the can. It's already finished, so we are definitely getting that next year. Gal Gadot, who portrayed Diana Prince in the previous DC film era, is no longer attached. Her third solo outing under director Patty Jenkins was scrapped in 2022 as part of the broader reboot. Let's face it, that second movie was terrible. It didn't do well. Patty Jenkins is pretty much on the outs with Warner Brothers, actually with a lot of people in Hollywood. And there was just so many missteps in the Snyderverse. If anything, I dislike the Snyderverse so much that it actually makes this new Gunverse look better by comparison. All the good stuff that I was saying is, well, it's definitely an improvement. Definitely an improvement. Her third solo outing, oh yeah, I already said that. Jenkins later commented that DC was buried in changes and that there was nothing I could do to move anything forward at this time. Sounds like some sour grapes there from someone who was out of work, who'd also burned her bridges at Disney. So good luck to you, girl. Gunn and co-head Peter Safran were brought in to chart a new continuity, beginning with Superman and continuing with the titles like Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And my understanding is they're changing the title, but that doesn't mean anything because they're still basing it on that graphic novel. And Batman, the Brave and the Bold. Wonder Woman remains a top priority, but not one the lead actress, director, and creative team are all yet to be announced. Okay, so while Adria Arjones certainly looks the part and Gunn clearly admires her, there's no indication she's actually been cast. For now, it's just another case of fans chasing shadows in the algorithm. Honestly, this one was written by the Writing Raven. That is really, really cool. I did not know she wrote for that part place. I will have to pay closer attention to that. But there you go. That's the scoop currently on the whole Wonder Woman speculation. Terrible due to the Pedro effect. Yeah, well, Pedro, tack with him. I've noticed that Pedro has not been cast in anything thus far in the new Gunverse. That second Wonder Woman was ass, and not a cute one, especially after how good the first one was. I was displeased with the first one too. I'm getting sick and tired of people running interference for it. Well, they didn't want to set it in World War II because, hey, it's Warner Brothers' own fault. They dragged their feet on getting their cinematic universe going, and they let Marvel beat them to the punch. Remember, Warner Brothers has owned DC Comics since the 70s. And so they could have done Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, starting in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s if they wanted to. They chose not to. They sat on them and did little things here and there, big screen, little screen, and not allowing their peas and carrots to touch on their plate. Meanwhile, Marvel had sold off their cinematic rights to many, many different companies. And when Disney bought Marvel Studios. They had to get all the rights back, and they had to work through a labyrinth in order to put together a cinematic universe. Sometimes being unable to use certain characters and having to use other ones. So the fact that they were able to do a Captain America that was 100% true to the source material, that is not an excuse that DC is allowed to use. They blew it. They blew it. And so they compromised. And they compromised in the worst way. They treated World War I as if it was just the prequel to World War II. Oh, it's Germans. So it's just, the push broom mustache guy, except, half a century earlier. That's not how history works. That's not what happened in World War I. That's not what World War I looked like. Not to mention they chose to make changes to the Wonder Woman mythos that I think terribly undermines her original true feminist. If they really wanted to be inclusive, if they really wanted to be progressive, they would have paid attention to the history, the feminist history behind Wonder Woman. They chose not to. They chose to go with some sort of a new feminism that does not reflect anything like real representation for women. Just saying. That's a topic for another day. That's my biggest worry about Batman the Brave and the Bold, is that if Gunn is the one writing it and directing it, he's going to make the same mistakes with way too many characters. I agree with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that. Because Gunn doesn't know how to do character stories with one or two characters. He only knows how to do ensemble characters, or ensemble casts. Yeah, that's why he finds it so hard to crack Batman. I'm going to go even further and more general. I don't think he knows how to... He knows that there is a need for drama. He knows there is a need for gravitas. I don't think he knows how to execute it. He feels uncomfortable, and he has to break it up with a joke every single time. And he's a one-trick pony in that regard. And I'm getting kind of tired of all the accolades that studios and audiences put onto directors that are one-hit ponies. They did the same thing with Zack Snyder with his desaturation, slow-mo, visual arts, background. Don't get me wrong. There are things that Zack Snyder has done that I loved. When he takes a single graphic novel, treats it like it's a storyboard, and turns it into a movie, he can make a masterpiece. When he has to make editorial choices from multiple stories and put them together in a cohesive narrative, he can't do it. He cannot do it. Lester is celebrating a year of membership. Happy anniversary, my friend. He says, I go back and forth between live action and animation, CG or hand-drawn. Either way, it's still animation, right? Lord of the Rings, live action worked well. Comic books, video games were hit and miss. Deadpool Wolverine worked. Fantastic Four, nah. Batman, yeah. Here's the thing about Batman. It's like every iteration of Batman is different. Have you noticed that? It's not truly rehashing, right? You have the 60s farcical camp of Adam West. You have the very dark but very stylized Tim Burton Batman, which you kind of have to separate from the Joel Schumacher dark neo-noir camp of Joel Schumacher. Even Joel Schumacher admits that he had the character wrong. He apologized for his mistakes. He saw where they were. an apology that carries weight with me, because it wasn't just I'm sorry you didn't like it. It was I'm sorry I get your point. Affleck Batman was mired in that murderous hero idea of the Zack Snyder era. And then when we get to Sparkly Bats, I can't judge it. I haven't seen it. I haven't even seen much in the way of previews. But my biggest problem with it is it's completely detached from all the rest. I feel like there's no reason for me to invest in it, you know? Gunn, is definitely better to leave the gun humor completely out of Batman. Agreed, but there are places it can be inserted, and generally that would be with villain characters, like the Joker, like the Riddler. If they are inserting some humor, I kind of get it. Unless you're writing your Batman as Tim Burton did, I don't think there's a lot of room for humor on the Batman side of it. I am currently I'm almost finished reading Batman Resurrection, which this author definitely captures the style of the Tim Burton verse. It takes place between Batman 89 and Batman Returns. And it weaves together the threads of those two stories beautifully. And I will be talking about it after I've finished it. Batman worked either live or animated, which fascinates me. I think, and I might be wrong about this, but I think the people that did Batman the Animated Series thought of it as an animated continuation of the Tim Burton story with obvious changes. Obviously, they wanted access to it was actually unwise for them to kill off the Joker. I think killing off the Joker means you no longer have access to that character going forward. And I know these auteurs think I'm a one and done kind of guy, but it's not your franchise. You need to respect it so that Warner Brothers can continue to use these characters. So they retcon that element. And of course they make it a little bit more child friendly. But I always thought it was meant to be pretty much the same universe. Peter Safran has to learn to tell Gunn no if he keeps letting him do whatever he wants. He's just going to be Snyderverse 2.0. So I get why you say that, Nate. But here's the problem. Every other writer, director, show helmsman, or whatever you want to call it, that is actually doing a good job is constantly being hampered by the studio and the producers. Just the whole history of the Richard Donner films is a nightmare of him not being able to see his vision through and having it, screwed up midstream. And there's lots and lots of films that are like that. There's a lot of Warner Brothers superhero films that didn't get developed because the studios got cold feet, decided they didn't want to, and they went with Wild Wild West, for example. So I don't think Peter Safran is the person I want in charge of making decisions about, the DC heroes either. And we've always been arguing we need somebody who is going to take the helm and manage it. I don't think Gunn is the best person for it, but better him than Snyder. better him than some suit who doesn't know these characters at all. You know? I do wish that Gunn would take a more puppet master kind of a thing, and less hands-on, and maybe let other writer and directors develop different characters. Gunn can go ahead with his Peacemaker and his, I don't know, whatever ensemble teams he wants to do. It looks like he really wants to develop this Justice Gang into the Justice League International from the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. I think that would be brilliant. I think James Gunn would be perfect for that. But I think there's other people that should be doing Superman. And it should probably not be the same person who's doing Batman. And it should probably not be the same person who is doing Wonder Woman. You know? Matt Reeves' Batman is just a watered-down version of Christopher Nolan. I hate hearing that. I'll take your word for that, but that does not sound good. Robert Pattinson has to be the most meh Batman I've ever saw. Now, I'm not going to get too bent out of shape about... I've ripped on... I call him Sparkly Bats and whatnot, and I don't care for him as an actor. But I don't like Timothy Dalton. Sorry, Retro Blasting. I don't like Timothy Dalton. That doesn't mean that I refuse to watch his James Bond, because I know that after he, an actor has played James Bond 2-3 times, he's going to move on, go to somebody else. This is the other problem that I'm having with these characters. If you're going to continue to develop these shared universes, you don't have to reboot the universe every single time you change actors. You don't. You can recast. You can recast over on the Marvel side. If you wanted to, you could have recast Iron Man. There are other actors you could have swapped in for Tony Stark. And we've done it before with James Bond. People will get over it. They'll be like, oh, wait a minute. That's a different actor. But everyone's calling him Tony. Everyone will recognize him as Tony. Guess what? That's how acting works. Get over it, you know? But if you let these creatives run wild with no one to leash them in, we get internet monkeys. Yes. Actually, I'm going to push back on that too. Internet monkeys, from the point of view of the suits, is like, that sounds stupid, but I don't know anything about this comic book crap. You know it. That's why we have you in charge. No. If you let creatives run wild with no one to leash them, you get runaway budgets. That's what you get. And then you can't pull a profit. People need to stay in their lane. If you bring in a creative, let the creative be the creative. I don't think James Gunn is the best creative for this, but I also don't believe the suits should be dictating creative choices to him. You know? Gunn should only do the Justice League movies because a movie with an ensemble cast will play to Gunn's strength. That's a great point. The whole idea of an ensemble is something that comes together after you've built up the individual characters, right? We needed a Batman movie, or excuse me, well, that'll be true of Batman as well, but we needed a Superman movie that was just a Superman movie. It didn't have to be an origin story, but it needed to be a introduce us to the character movie, is what it needed to be. It was fine to have him already in a dating relationship, hiding that relationship for work reasons. It doesn't even have to be for Superman reasons. It's just, Perry's not too cool on people dating in the workplace, so we can't let him know about that. Whatever. Flesh out that dynamic. And even this whole Lex Luthor story could have been a good first movie. You didn't need all the world building. I understand why they're doing it. Shouldn't have been. Should not have been. Do a Batman movie. Do a Superman movie. Do a Wonder Woman movie. Do your Supergirl movie. And then, and just have, I'll call them Easter eggs. I think that term is overused. But little things in the background that seed your world, so that then when you bring them all together, all that stuff has a payoff. Those are good Easter eggs. See, what is an Easter egg, right? You go around, you search for the eggs that you spent time hiding, you put effort into them, you bring them all together, you got a full basket, and you make egg salad, I guess. Whatever. But the point is there's a payoff. Before I get any further, let me let you know, guys, what's going on the rest of the week. Let me have a sip on my drink, and we'll be back in just under 3 minutes.
You're watching Liquid Lunch, streaming every weekday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's sip together. This week on Live from Sparkwood and 21, an actress begins to adopt the persona of her character in a film as her world becomes nightmarish and surreal. Join us as we watch the first half of David Lynch's Inland Empire this Tuesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Deleted Scenes and Affiliates.
Just why is Servalan bound for Sardos, a planet in the outer darkness of the galaxy? And is it worth Avon risking all their lives to find out? It's Moloch, this Tuesday on Last Call Presents Blake 7 at 10 p.m. Central, 11 Eastern.
This Thursday on Netter's Network, Netter has invited back a dear friend of the channel that, well, if you don't know him by now, where have you been? He's fighting a good fight for all of us in the streaming sphere because he wants us all to win. It's Deleted Scenes this Thursday, 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netter's Network.
This week on Saturday Night at the Movies, life is like a box of chocolates as we sample the witty and thought-provoking Robert Zemeckis classic, Forrest Gump. Come watch along with us. The link to the live, off-platform stream of the feature will be provided in the chat on Netter's Network Retro Cinema, Saturday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern.
Every Sunday evening, Aged Boomer and Papa Pacelli bring you the rundown of the week's geek news, or at least what they think is interesting. You may have heard about it somewhere else, but Boomer and Pacelli put a spin on it you likely won't hear anywhere else. It's Geeky Geezers, every Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
We now return to our liquid lunch.
Yeah, good point, and you don't need to have Supergirl calling Superman a bitch. I mean, it's not a defense, but the reason is because she was drunk at the time. We also don't need drunk teenage superheroes, just saying. Still a little conflicted over the conflict management resolution, which wasn't linear enough for my tastes. What was Superman a hero of, and what bigger conflict did he resolve? See, that's a great point. I do think he kind of tries to address that in the narrative, and it seems very short-sighted for Superman. I mean, it is reactionary to the Snyderverse, right? I did mention that. This big focus on saving lives. You know, Lois challenges him on getting involved in a foreign conflict, saying, you know, by what right do you get involved? Well, people are going to die. He's very short-sighted. People are going to die. I need to save them. You know, someone's going to get hit by a car. I got to stop the car. There is no bigger thought on, boy, there's a lot of accidents happening in this specific location. Is there a bigger problem that needs to be addressed, right? These two countries keep getting into conflict. Is there some way I can inspire a peace treaty? You know, these are the kinds of things I do believe that the Superman of the Christopher Reeve era, the wiser Superman that we are used to seeing leading a Justice League would be And that's the important part, leadership. I don't think the understanding of leadership, which is a part of being a hero, is anywhere in the minds of any of the people making films these days. Most people. I should be fair. I am seeing more and more stories that I was unaware of that are better than I give them credit for. I thought I don't think I said hi to ussarn G. Did I say hi to you, ussarn G? I'm very sorry if I did not. Welcome. I did see that you had come in. And I think that gets me caught up on the chat. I did mention, I think I mentioned, it's been 2 days for me. It's only been a day for you guys. But I thought I mentioned that I am working on an alternative, imagine an alternative timeline where Warner Brothers started trying to put together their shared universe much sooner. So in other words, they would have beat Marvel to the World War II era storylines and whatnot. And in so doing, I've got a recipe in mind that I want to flesh out with everybody that would build off of past victories. I think that was one of the biggest problems that I've had with Warner Brothers for a long time. That scene was stupid. A drunken Supergirl made no sense. She goes off-world to a planet with a red sun, so she gets drunk. As soon as she gets back under the yellow sun, she would sober up before she landed. I thought that too. I did too. Although I will say that somebody who has been partying and drinking, sometimes even after the alcohol wears off, you have a bit of momentum of the partying in you. So you continue to behave drunk even after the alcohol has, if we're honest, has passed. I've noticed Netter has called me on that. She's like, "Are you still drunk?" And I'm like, "No, I guess I'm not." You know, even though I know I'm behaving the way I had been. You know, just an insight to what it is for someone who has been drinking, and in her case specifically to get drunk. And I'm glad they at least addressed that, because I had a problem with that in Superman 3. It's like, how is Clark getting drunk? And I've heard a lot of people give fan theories that it was because of the let's call it red kryptonite. It wasn't red kryptonite, but they were using red kryptonite logic in that movie, and saying, you know, yeah, maybe it was the kryptonite that was allowing him to get drunk. Okay, fine. But yeah, there does need to be a reason. But my bigger problem is not, you know, the minutia of how she could get drunk and the lore reasons. My bigger problem is the drunken teenager, you know, who obviously they're following the Woman of Tomorrow graphic novel. You know, she's lost her home 3 times, and, you know, she's got all this PTSD, and she's depressed, and I'm like, just what we need. Someone with the powers of Superman who's got depression and a drinking problem, right? I mean, I'll just watch Hancock again, you know? If anything, she could be experiencing a super hangover. That actually would have been good, right? That would have been really good. Especially since we saw, you know, as Clark was healing, and it made sense in context. He's all busted up inside. They go through the list of all of his damage, and then they put a very intense, they put something on that looks like it's supposed to be intensifying that yellow radiation. So as he's knitting, it's causing him pain. I could totally see like a hungover Kara coming to Earth under yellow sun. Imagine that. You suddenly have your superpowers, you're suddenly healing, but you are like super dehydrated. So you have a super headache, right? I could totally see that. Yeah. So this is something that, again, I doubt that anyone's keeping track of these kinds of continuity things anymore. I may be the only, geek that bothers to keep track of this stuff. But ever since that artificial kryptonite that Gus Gorman developed, I don't want to say he invented it, he developed it. Just like so many other things that happened in that movie era of Superman that made its way into the comics lore, the artificial kryptonite has made its way into lore. So this idea of creating an artificial kryptonite shows up in Smallville, where Lex Luthor makes an artificial kryptonite that separates Clark into two individuals. One is good, one is evil. They did it in the comics as well, and they called it black kryptonite. It is made from green kryptonite, and it separated Kara into a good and an evil split. So it's kind of become lore that that's what black kryptonite does, and that's that black kryptonite is basically that Gus Gorman created like the prototype for black kryptonite. Hello. Oh, I see Superman talk is still going on. Today is Tuesday, so don't blame me on this. I open it up to the Martini Gallery, and we talk about whatever people want to talk about. So that is what people wanted to talk about. Drive by like. By the way, since you're here, Joe's Atmosphere, I did get a chance to get caught up on the comments from yesterday. And I saw that Joe did this yesterday. He comes in yesterday, drops a little snarky comment and leaves. And makes me wonder if you bothered to go back and watch the whole stream from yesterday, because you asked a question that you would have had an answer to had you watched the entire stream. So he's like, I thought you said you weren't going to see it. Well, I explained exactly why I was going to see it. In fact, the thumbnail even said why I decided to see Superman. So if you want the answer to that, go back and watch it. Yes, Supergirl hungover. She'd be like, she can come into the fortress, say why, and say why is it so loud? And Superman can say no one's saying anything. And she can respond to the world, why is it so loud? Yeah. Oh gosh, can you imagine being hungover with the powers of a Kryptonian? Just make it stop. I can't make it stop. It's your own fault. It's your own fault. Yeah, I don't know where that's gonna. Like I said, if I can find it online, if that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is available somewhere online and I can read it, maybe I'll read it to steel myself for what is likely coming with this movie next year. I'm not sure I'm going to like it. But I did hear a synopsis about it in someone else's YouTube video. And there were some elements of the lore that I found intriguing, because I don't think it was a comment I was making on one of Sin's videos, but it was a comment I was making on somebody's video about Supergirl. And her lore, maybe it was Sin, I don't know. Sin, you can tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Supergirl has had her history changed a number of times. And originally, she was younger than Clark from the beginning. Clark was rocketed to Earth as a baby. She was born after the destruction of Krypton on Argo City. Jor-El's younger brother, Zor-El, rather than building rockets and sending people off, had built a protective dome over Argo City. Now, ostensibly, this was originally for another reason, to protect them from solar radiation and so forth. But then he reinforced the surface of the city, or the underground of the city and so forth. So when Krypton was destroyed, it was launched like an island in space, and he built, artificial gravity and all this kind of stuff. However, the surface of the asteroid turned to kryptonite, and so he had to lay down lead sheeting to protect everyone in the city from the kryptonite. Now, again, this was in the 70s. This was very loosey-goosey sort of canon. The explanation for why he then had to send his daughter to Earth was that an asteroid storm caused, holes in the lead lining, which started irradiating the place, so he sent Kara to Earth to be cared for by her older cousin. She had never met her cousin. But that's kind of dumb. It doesn't work in narrative, because he's got a protective dome over the city. How do these asteroids, start, hitting the ground, but somehow getting through the dome? They never really explained that. Then in the 80s, the Daring New Adventures of Supergirl explained that there was this alien that she ends up fighting in, they wanted to introduce a new villain for her, who had broken open the dome, and it still was okay. So then everyone suffocated to death. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. So they it does sound like this Woman of Tomorrow graphic novel kind of tightens up that canon a little bit. So if that's the case, I kind of dig that. I think that's probably a good thing. But I'm actually kind of curious to read it and see what it's all about. The actress that plays Supergirl in the TV show is really I really like, but the show is garbage, yeah. Yeah, we tried watching the first episode. It was, how did I describe it? Netter wanted to see it, so we watched the first episode. And I sat there and I'm like, this is The Devil Wears Prada, except with superpowers. And Netter was like, yeah, this isn't what I thought it would be. And we never ended up watching it after that. We briefly talked about Supergirl on the Sunday stream, but we didn't get into super specific details. I like that. Sunday stream on the Latino Slant channel, I mean. Okay, there you go. Yeah, protective dome that protected them from the whole planet exploding. Yeah, didn't make a lot of sense. Although, with minor sci-fi tweaks, you could make that work. You don't just build a plexiglass dome over it. You say it's this, because you got to deal with artificial gravity, you got to deal with force fields and all this kind of stuff. You say it's a force field, right? And this is why, again, you could weave in some of the canon, like from the Helen Slater, right? The Omega Hedron, right? There's this Omega Hedron that is this power source, that makes all of this work. The artificial gravity, the protective dome, all of this kind of stuff. If something goes wrong with the Omega Hedron, then everyone's going to die. So you got to, so that would have been good. I'm not 100% sure, but I think in Woman of Tomorrow, Argo City was basically a space station, and Brainiac. See, that's the other thing. I do like the idea of integrating Brainiac's history more into the Kryptonian thing. Smallville kind of started that, and I think it makes a lot more sense. Remember that a lot of these villain characters were just ad hocs. They were thrown in throughout the Silver Age, and Vril Dox, the alien from Colu, I think was the name of his planet. That's fine. But you could tie it back to Kryptonian origins and so forth. It makes a lot of sense. Tighten up this canon. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. I was talking in yesterday's stream about the length and the breadth of the canon, right? And these writers tend to pick and choose the things they want to use. in completely disparate ways that don't work. You need to look at all of it and go, what works, what doesn't work, and weave a beautiful tapestry of canon when you do it. That wasn't a pun, I promise, about super. Yes, I knew what you were talking about. I didn't even realize how it sounded until. Hey, sometimes it's the puns that you don't intend that are the best. Yes, Kolu. I think I got to it. And thank you so much for being here, CK. It is good to see you. If you didn't see Liquid Lunch yesterday, go check it out. I think you'd be very interested in my thoughts on the new Superman movie. But that is it for today. Thank you. I needed today just to kind of reach out to you guys and reestablish that. I really missed you all yesterday. Pre-recording a show is functional, but it's not as much fun. And I really, really do appreciate you guys. I do like your new AI avatar. So this avatar that you see, and I don't have a way to blow it up any larger, but this avatar that Nate is using, not only is it cool, but then he took it into a AI animation program and did something with it that he showed me on X. It's really, really cool. Very, very impressed by that. I really, really like that. So, yeah, that's really neat. So, don't know what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday. It's WTF Wednesday, and I think I've WTF'd Superman to death. So I'd rather not talk about Superman anymore. But we'll talk about something, I'm sure. Tonight, of course, live from Sparkwood in 21, the first half of Inland Empire. That's going to be a trip. So we'll check it out and we'll see. Sin, I'd be interested to find out if you have seen Inland Empire and what your review of it was. If you can point me to one, I would be very, very interested. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat from Geek Flag with Nate Knows. You are a wonderful, powerful supporter of this channel. I super, super appreciate you, my friend. And with that, oh yes, that's right. Wednesday is Prince Spaghetti Day. I'd actually forgotten that, and I don't think I've ever talked about that on a Wednesday. Maybe I will share a little bit about Prince Spaghetti Day and my memories of it on Wednesday. Thank you guys so much. Hope to see you later tonight over on Deleted Scenes channel, and then for those of you that are interested, back here on my channel for Blake 7. Guys, thank you so much. You guys take care. I am completely empty. So my liquid lunch is done. Everybody, get back to work. Take care. Talk to you.
Goodbye. Hope to see you again real soon.
Here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun, our liquid lunch till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon, chasing that jazz under the high